Hello and welcome to a new episode of Big Garden, Little Garden, a fortnightly podcast with me, Geraldine Scully.
And me, Claire Ryan Luke. We're here to encourage you to start growing and stay growing, no matter how big or small your outdoor space, and to find joy in the process. Welcome to episode 8, and to kick things off, we're going to reintroduce ourselves because we have a lot of new listeners out there. Big Garden, Little Garden podcast is a conversation between myself, Claire, the beginner gardener, and Geraldine, the experienced gardener, and we want to get everybody growing and to feel the positive benefits of it. So what are the jobs this week, Geraldine?
Back down to earth, literally. Weed, weed and weed again. I've been out weeding myself because I was moving plants around, and that gives me a great opportunity to weed. But the weeding that you do now will really benefit your garden come spring and benefit the amount of work that you don't have to do in spring. Basically, the weeds are dying off now anyway, and in spring they're going to be full of vigour and growing again. So as many as you can get rid of at this stage in the year, you will feel the benefits of it. And do that before you put down your layer of mulch and cover the garden up for the winter.
Can I ask you there, Geraldine, actually, will you explain precisely what mulch is?
Well, mulch is a layer of organic matter that you put on your beds, basically like a blanket. So if you imagine you're putting the garden to bed for the year and you have a layer of material that you put on top, which the worms and other microorganisms in the soil can work on over the winter. The mulch won't be there in the spring. The worms will do the work and bring it down to fertilise the soil throughout the winter. And it does need to be an organic matter. I mean, the ideal mulch is homemade garden compost. You can use well-rotted manure if you have a source of that. In Dublin, that's easy enough to come by because there's stables around the place. There's also my favourite of all, which we're going to talk about in more detail in a minute, which is Leaf Mould. And if you can access any of those, put them down as thickly as you can, but no less than 2 inches, really, to be of good benefit to the soil, on clean soil if possible.
When you say clean soil, what does that mean?
Weed-free.
Okay, weed-free. And do you know what I see around? Is this bark mulch?
Yeah, people do use bark mulch, but it's more for pathways and to make things look better. Now, to be useful as a garden mulch, it really needs to be very finely broken down before you put it down. You do see very thick layers of bark used on footpaths, but to put that on your garden isn't of any great benefit. If it's very, very finely broken down, you can use it.
Because it does get a little messy as well, doesn't it?
It does. It goes all over the place and the birds pull it all around. And the really thick bark, when it starts to break down, can actually leach nutrients from your soil because it uses nitrogen for its own rotting down. So the thicker it is, the less beneficial it is to your soil.
Oh, that's interesting because it needs so much itself to break down.
Yeah.
And what about, I see people using wool.
Yeah, wool has become quite popular, and I'm definitely going to try it next year, and I think I have a source of wool. We keep hearing about Irish wool. There's a lot of sheep in Ireland, but the wool is of no value. It's not high enough quality to be made into wool that's useful for clothing. And a lot of sheep farmers are just disposing of the wool. And it's become a bit of a trend to use it as mulch. So I'm going to try it next year, not on my home garden, but I'm going to try it on the allotments where I grow my flowers to see if it is of any benefit with keeping the weeds down there.
Okay, yeah, it's not really suitable for smaller spaces.
No, I think it's probably visually maybe not as good as other mulches because obviously the colour of it won't be great. And I don't think it breaks down as readily as a homemade compost would, for example.
Right. Right, but it's an interesting one.
It is, yeah, and maybe it is a source of even a very small income for sheep farmers.
Absolutely.
Anyway, come back to me next year. Hopefully I will have tried it out and see. And I don't know how long it takes to break down, but I suspect it must be more than 1 year.
You'd imagine, yeah, but an interesting experiment.
Yeah, and I mean, it is an organic matter, so why not try it?
Good to use it.
We could just get out all our old wool jumpers and put them on the ground, maybe. I don't know.
The ones I never finished. I never finished a jumper when I was knitting it. So tell us more about leaf mould. This is fascinating.
Now, leaf mould is nature's gift to us all if we can just be bothered making it. And before I start this conversation properly, I'm going to have to fess up that my husband makes the leaf mould in this house. But there are leaves, obviously, at this time of the year everywhere. And after the rain, the whole garden was covered yet again in leaves. And what leaf mould is the organic matter of the leaves breaking down into a usable component that you can add to the soil. Now, it's not like compost. It doesn't add fertility, but what it does is it adds structure, and you generally put it on top of the soil so the microorganisms can take it down, not to mix it through the soil. It's more beneficial if the soil itself is allowed to bring it down. And it improves the structure, will break up the soil a little bit, gives the microorganisms a lot to work on, and is completely free of charge. And it's the one thing you actually cannot buy. You can go into any garden centre and buy compost, you can buy, wool, you can buy any other types of mulch, but you cannot buy leaf mould. Now, you only need you need three things: a good rake, a black sack, and water, plus the leaves, obviously. Now, we make it my husband makes it in slatted wooden bins, but I've seen people use a cage maybe made out of chicken wire, but you can make it in black plastic sacks. They're a bit unsightly lying around the place, but if you've a space behind your shed, just put the black sack in there, out of the way. It does take a full year minimum for the leaves to rot down. But what you do is you get your sack, you put your leaves into it, punch a few holes because you do need water. That's another difference between making leaf mould and making compost. Compost, generally, you try to keep the water out, but leaf mould, the leaves need water to rot down. So into the sack, make sure it's wet, tie it in a knot, punch a few holes in it, and every so often during the following year, just shake it. Now, I know people don't want black plastic bags full of leaves lying around the garden, but if you can find some way to use those leaves and put them somewhere out of sight, not out of mind completely, because you do need to shake it every so often, you really get the most amazing soil enhancer. And as I said, you can't buy it.
And it costs nothing. And God knows there's a lot of leaves.
It costs no. There's endless amount of leaves. And I often see them in sacks waiting for the local authority to take them away. And I think, well, I grab a few of those and bring them home. And then I'm told, do not do that. We have enough leaves. Although we don't have many trees in our garden. We're surrounded by trees and we have a lot of leaves. So fair play to himself. He does produce wonderful leaf mould every year.
It's the ultimate DIY, isn't it? But again, it's not really suitable for a very small space because you couldn't really hide the bags. It would just be trickier.
Yeah, but any medium-sized garden is going to have a space where you can do a bit of that. And it is nature's resource and it is circular gardening, so nothing is leaving your site. Everything is being used within your own space. Just if you have any space at all to do it, please give it a try. But don't expect it to be a quick fix because it's not.
Okay, and there's no waste, which is incredible.
No waste.
Yeah.
And Claire, what have you been up to?
Well, things are kind of quiet enough, so just kind of wrapping things up at the moment. But I spotted something interesting on Instagram the other day, and I went down the rabbit hole of David Austin roses, picture.
Okay, well, they are magnificent.
Absolutely beautiful. And a particular rose came up called Bring Me Sunshine. And I went, oh, I have that. And it is a gorgeous rose. Opens out, sometimes they look a little bit apricot, but as they open, they look much more yellowy. And it's just a stunning rose, and the scent of it is out on its own. Like it's like apricot jam. It's just beautiful. But when I bought that rose, I literally didn't read that much about it. I bought it purely on, it's gorgeous, and just pure instinct, and brought it home and enjoyed it for the summer. But on that Instagram post, I noticed that they were saying it makes a great climber. And I just got an aha moment that I really want to do that. I want to train it up along our shed, where I think it'll be really gorgeous and would really work as a climber. So I'm going to try and kind of position things and ready that to grow in that
will
way.
you keep it in a pot, or can you plant it in the ground?
I can't plant it where I'm thinking of putting it up against the shed, so it will have to be in a pot.
Okay.
So I think at the moment it's in a big enough pot, but I'll probably have to go up a size, and then I'll have to put some sort of a trellis or something to encourage it to grow up along. But if that works out, it would really be beautiful. The shed is black and the rose is yellow, and the leaves are gorgeous. Really love that rose. Big fan of Bring Me Sunshine.
And then the David Austin roses are all repeat flowers, so you should have... Well, you got a lot of flowers this year.
It just kept coming, I have to say. It was really impressive. And even now, at the moment, just with the leaves, it's a very pretty, healthy looking plant. So, been delighted with that. And I mentioned last time the Calamagostrus, the Carl Forrester grasses.
Oh, your grasses,
yes.
That have outgrown their space very quickly.
Well, I dug those out. Now, the first one was pretty tough to get out, I have to say. But once I got the first one out, I was on a roll then and got them out. But they've moved.
Fair play to you. I tell you, digging isn't easy at the best of times.
It was a real workout. But got them all out, and they have gone to their new home, and they are now in situ and planted and delighted. So hopefully that works out really well for the new owners.
Okay, and have you done anything with the space?
I haven't. I'm really just kind of readying it now to put some bulbs, and thinking about my plan, what I'm going to replace it with today.
We talked about
exactly. I talked about the last time, but so that was the most movement in my garden. But what I'm doing as well is I am doing a bit indoors. I'm potting up paper whites, continuously doing that to put them away in the shed for them to flower around Christmas. So hopefully. Okay,
so have you done all the hyacinths already, or are you still doing that? It's successions.
Succession, exactly. I think I'll do one more round of hyacinths, but now I've moved on to the paper whites, the narcissus. Okay. So I might do a little video of that.
Yeah, you should do that. Yeah, because it's for anyone who can tolerate the scent. I mean, it's a lovely thing to have. And they can be tricky enough not to let them fall over, and they can grow quite tall, I think.
Yeah,
so
I've seen some nice
tricks you have for that.
Yeah, I've seen some nice things where you can put kind of brambles or little very thin pliable twigs around them. Now, if you grouped a lot of them together, and that keeps them upright, because they do grow a little bit tall and can flop a bit. But no, they're beautiful now, beautiful flowers indoors for winter. So I'm excited to hopefully see those come to flower, but I will do that video. And have we got the green light for the tulips yet, Geraldine?
Yes, we have. Time to plant your tulips. It's like I feel like I should ring a bell or something. I'm sure people have started already. Between now and mid-November, perfect time. So there's loads of time, but if you have put a few in the ground already, that's grand too. Get planting your tulips. We've all got them. I've loads of tulips ready to go. Did plant some in pots, I have to admit, over the weekend, just to get a start on it, and looking forward to getting the rest in the ground. Everything else is planted now, besides the tulips and a few alliums that I'm going to throw in the holes with the tulips. Other than that, that's my bulbs done for this year.
And do you want to remind people of the tips when planting their tulip bulbs?
Okay, well, it's the same as for most bulbs. A nice rule of thumb is 2.5 times the depth of the tulip. And if you're planting in the ground, leave it about 2.5 times the width of the tulip between each bulb. But if you're planting in pots, they can be much closer together. And I know I've said this already, but if you're using a big pot, put in 2 layers of tulips, because the end result is all the tulips are the same height, and it makes it look much fuller than if you just had one layer. They come up through each other, which is a great tulip trick.
And do you know what I found? And I was thrilled, actually, is I found Belle Epoque tulips.
Oh, you were
favourite.
looking for that.
I was.
Yeah, it's a beauty.
Yeah.
I did grow it one year, which I suppose maybe a little word of warning about tulips. They are, for me, a huge indulgence. In fact, I think they've become an addiction. Might have to roll back a bit on the tulips next year. They're expensive. They generally don't come back. Certainly in my garden, they don't come back year on year. I know some tulips do, and I suppose an exception for me in the garden is ballerina, which is a lovely lily-flowered orange tulip. That does seem to come back. But for the most part, once you've planted them and had the joy of the flowers, that's the end of them. And I know people go mad when I say that, and I know loads of people are going to tell me they come back every year in their gardens. That's my experience. It's like buying a bunch of flowers. That's how I justify it to myself, except it's a bunch of flowers that will last maybe 2 months.
Okay, so that's the way, yeah, because it's kind of controversial, isn't it? You said that before, but it's reality as well.
It's reality, and especially the tulips I grow as cut flowers. We just pull them out of the ground, bulbs and all, and dispose of the bulbs. And if you examine bulbs that you take out of the ground, you will see that a lot of them have split into much smaller bulbs. I'm going to do a little video of this because people are always abusing me that I throw out tulip bulbs. But that's the way it is. They split maybe in... The original bulb will have split maybe into 3 bulbs. And they're not flowering size bulbs. And they will never grow to flowering size bulb in Irish weather conditions.
Okay, so you're at nothing with those little ones?
At nothing.
Okay. And just looking outside here, just bringing it back to autumn actually, is it's been really mild, hasn't it?
It's been really mild, and it's been just... and so dry for the most part. And the leaves, I mean, what beautiful autumn colours we're enjoying this year. We've really had it every which way.
Yeah, the leaves have just stayed, haven't they?
They've stayed, yeah. And I suppose that's because of the temperatures. The leaves, the fall of the leaves really is, or the dying of the leaves, I should say, is triggered by temperature. And for some reason, we've had very little wind. So although the leaves are falling, they're falling, it seems to me, at a much slower pace this year. And I've noticed so many more shrubs that maybe I wouldn't normally notice are just producing so much colour. Like I have a viburnum opulus, which is a snowball tree, I think people call it, with the round white flowers. Now, I just grow that for the flowers. But this year I've noticed the colour is just... beautiful russet, orange tinges, just really, really lovely. So I think I'm noticing more, maybe because I'm talking about it more.
It's more on your mind.
Yeah, and I've also, in my own garden, I have 3 Japanese maples, 2 very small ones. Well, they started off very small. They're actually not that small anymore. And one that I planted probably 40 years ago, and it's now really a full-size tree. And I always remember the name, which is Osakazuki. I think the small ones are Dissectum. They're red, but the Osakazuki is green leaves. But in this time of the year now, they're turning a really beautiful shade of red. And the red ones are glowing orange. I mean, everybody sees the leaves, sure. What's not to admire about them?
Do you have an interest in insight into that basically when we think the leaves are just turning red, but that red is already there?
That's right. That's the science bit.
Yeah.
Leaves, trees produce chlorophyll, which is, through a process of photosynthesis, produces plant food for the tree. And as the temperatures reduce and the autumn comes in, the plant stops producing chlorophyll, which is what makes the leaves appear green. But behind the green, there's less dominant colours. And as the green disappears, that's what we see. So the reds and the oranges and the yellows are there all the time. They're just masked by the green, which is obviously in Ireland the dominant colour of all trees, or almost all trees. And I suppose rather than the leaves turning a colour, they're really revealing themselves in a great last hurrah before they all fall off. And then you collect them and make your leaf mould.
And what was that? You mentioned of the tree, which I thought, when I saw a picture of it, I thought it looks very maple-like. And you could see...
I was telling you about that. Yes, that's something I saw on Instagram. Jimmy Blake from Huntingbrook Gardens was showing a plant which he describes as a large shrub or small tree called Lindera triloba. Now, it was new to me, I have to say, but they're maple-like leaves, and it was a strange mixture of colour in the leaves in that they looked like they had a border of yellow with an interior of russet. It was just the most beautiful leaf. He did mention it is for acid to neutral soil, and also that it's quite difficult to get. But if anybody has that type of soil, it looks like a plant that would be really, really worth planting.
Yeah, it looks like gorgeous. A maple-esque, just you could see similarities.
Yeah. You can see how you'd look at it and think it was a maple. Really worth seeking out if anybody has the correct growing conditions.
Okay, great recommendation there for a different type of plant for them. And right, Katie's border plan that we've referenced a few times.
We have, and it's done.
Yay!
And it is done on our Instagram page with a drawing and a plant list.
Amazing.
Now, it's a plant list that can be used for a shorter border, just take a section of it, that would work, or a wider border where you might just repeat more of the plants, because we're dealing with quite a narrow border. If anybody has any queries about any of the plants, or even if you'd like to add extra plants, get in touch through direct message and we will deal with any queries, and we'd love to talk about it.
Absolutely, yeah, it's a brilliant resource actually, and adaptable, which is it's a great template. And do you know what? I think we should maybe in the next episode of Big Garden Little Garden talk through the plants you chose.
Let's do that, because I was trying to figure out without a visual how to make it relevant. But if there is already the plan there, let's run through the plants next time and why I picked each plant and how it relates to the other plants.
Yeah.
Because I did think it through in terms of colour and size and shape.
Amazing. So that'll be really interesting.
And it is actually quite simple, and all the plants are readily available.
Okay, so that should be totally doable then. But I look forward to hearing more about it. And do you know what's on my list, my planting list, is I would love to grow a pumpkin. Is it hard?
Pumpkin, I don't know. I see loads of people growing pumpkins on the allotments, the big orange pumpkins. I only ever tried to grow pumpkin once, and that was after a trip to Berlin, where I had eaten a roasted black pumpkin in a really gorgeous restaurant owned by two American guys. And it was, I can still taste it, and that was a long time ago. So I got seeds of the black pumpkin, but I did not succeed. But other people seem to be able to grow pumpkins very easily. They need a lot of water.
Okay.
And they need heat. And of course, this year we got both of those to some extent. But sure, why not try it?
Yeah, I'd love to. It's funny, I got completely turned off eating pumpkin when I worked in, the restaurant was Fitzer's years and years ago. And I overdid the pumpkin soup when I was working on the staff break. And I just literally couldn't eat it. But this year, something has come over me. I'm roasting them nonstop. I came across this fabulous recipe by Sarah Raven. And she mentioned, roasting it and then cooking it with cumin seeds and garlic. And then finishing it off with some chili flakes and lemon. And it is divine.
Delicious.
Absolutely divine. So I'm going cracked on it. So I've decided that...
Now you're going to be sickening yourself with pumpkin.
Can you see it? A pattern is the word I'm searching for.
Yeah,
a pattern.
I see a pattern.
I overdo it. But I would love to, because I really do. I enjoy them in the season, even looking at them, and then I enjoy eating them again, I've discovered. So
okay, and funny now that you are saying about growing pumpkins, you do see in magazines a recommendation to grow them in the compost heap.
Oh.
And I had just recently been talking to my husband about that and saying, well, maybe we'll give it a try in one of the compost heaps next year. So we'll both grow pumpkins.
So there you
Claire.
go. We'll have loads of pumpkins.
A pumpkin growing competition.
Yeah.
Well, it is the season for pumpkins,
is.
but they're not just for Halloween. You have to remember
that's
that.
it. And we need to buy Irish pumpkins.
True, and they're being grown commercially, really, for about 10 years now, maybe more, probably more than that, which is wonderful because back in the day we were supposed to carve out turnips.
I can tell you here and now, I'm not carving a turnip, I tell you. Not that we haven't tried.
No, well, I can also tell you I never did it, but the pumpkins do make Halloween life much easier, that's for sure.
They do, even though we're fond of a turnip. Okay, so that's it for now. And until next time, don't forget to check out our Instagram page and keep up to date on @BigGardenLittleGarden, or send us an email on biggardenlittlegarden@gmail.com.
And start growing, stay growing.